your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, and remember some pictures. And then I give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. Let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. 100 years of service for a radio group. JT White House has a report published August 16th in what appears to be the century mark for providing 100 years of Valley amateur radio. Now, the article homes in on how important radio has been and even mentions how the U.S. government was looking to control radio communications at one point in time, but hobbyists in amateur radio pushed back, forming an amateur radio relay league nationwide, according to the report. Now, Radio Appreciation Day was August 20th, thus getting the story into the top 8. Story number 2. Senate races in top local headlines. David Skolnick has a report published August 19th stating that Democrat Sherrod Brown is seeking a return to the U.S. Senate after the seat was vacated by now Vice President J.D. Vance. Now, the report says that Sherrod Brown feels that the country is going in the wrong direction. Now, if Brown throws his hat in the race, he will face off against John Husted in an attempt to flip Ohio back to Democrats. Story number 3. What to expect headed into another school year. Sheen Barron has a report published August 19th, informing the local community about plans for the upcoming school year. Now, the report comes straight from the superintendent himself, Jeremy Batchelor. Now, he states in the article that most of the work will go on behind the scenes. I guess that's going on in the school. Now, he then goes on to explain how the district will be preparing to unify the schools to basically into one branch of school. Now, the report does mention some academic goals, but mainly talks about the district's transition that's going to be taking place. Now that the district is back in the hands of the board, the local community will be looking for progress. So far, things have been improving, at least about 7%. Now, this story is still developing. Story number 4. Volunteers pay it forward in Mel Creek Metro Park. Sheen Barron has a report published August 18th explaining how a large number of volunteers took part in a Mel Creek Park watershed cleanup. The article focuses on an area-wide partnership program that lists just about every organization that got involved in the cleanup. Now, the entire report homes in on what is taking place, or what always takes place when people come together for a common cause. Water quality and improving water quality is what got the story in. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. Street improvement work delayed. David Skolnick has a report published August 16th explaining how a $1.2 million project to improve 4 city streets won't start until next year, according to the report. Wood Street from Belmont Avenue to Wick Avenue, McGuffey Road from Jacob Road to State Route 616, Sheridan Road from State Route 170 to Powers Way, Powers Way from Sheridan Road to Pine Hollow Bridge were all mentioned in the report. Resurfacing, drainage, rehabilitation, new curb ramps, signage, and road stripping were all mentioned in the report. The report goes on to explain how city officials wanted to get the work done this year, but the weather and time constraints and state negotiations all played a factor in the delay. Story number 6. What happened on the South Side? One report published August 18th out of Youngstown lays out a very strange situation in which 3 women were injured by gunfire at 5:21 a.m. Sunday at Market Street in Florida Avenue on the city's south side. Now, the report states that the women were in a large crowd of people when gunfire erupted. The age range of the women were about 29, 27, and 32. The report emphasizes a continued push to crack down on crime in Youngstown. Now, these stories have remained in top headlines because 3 women were shot. Now, although inner city violence is not uncommon, Youngstown, like most cities, they've been trying to work. They've pretty much been working overtime to stop violence and develop a better reputation for the city, folks. Let's get into the story to the top. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that have made it this week for you to keep you informed, folks. If you don't get up this early, you do want to check out the show on Mondays. You want to keep updated on just the top 8. You may just want to just catch up, and I do upload the show on Mondays after the airing on Sundays. So if you don't get up this early, you can check out the show on the website, on our YouTube channel on Monday. Story number 7, facing the election board for 2025 election. David Skolnick has a report out of Youngstown published August 19th informing the local community about how the 2025 election is shaping up. Now, the article begins by explaining how the Mahoning County Board of Elections voted against certifying 21 candidates due to petition issues. Now, 2 liquor options were also shot down, according to the article. Now, the article even mentions who did not make the certification cut and emphasizes that August 25th is the final day to file. Now, this cut, it even tells you why they didn't make the cut. Now, the report is long, but it's definitely a must-read when it comes to the local election race. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that I made this week for you to keep you informed, folks. If you do want to show some support, it's not hard. All you have to do is stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and buy something in the thrift and consignment store, the local thrift and consignment store. All of it goes back into the arts, community programs, and things that are in motion here. I'm trying my best. And if you want to go to the website, you can also go to the website and sponsor a program or buy something, click on something, watch something, read something. And so there's ways to support, ways to help out here as we continue to, as I continue to do the best I can in my allotted amount of time on this planet to do the right thing. Let's get to this top story. Story number 8, Foxconn is back in top headlines. Raymond L. Smith has a report published August 20th out of Mediator stating that a Foxconn AI project in Lordstown will create 2,000 jobs. Now, the story explains the company's shift to data centers and shipping in what appears to be a global shipping plan. Now, in a push to bolster the nation's AI infrastructure, the article says that it talks about the types of jobs that will be created and how they will range from food services and line workers to high tech. These are jobs. Now, the report goes on further to emphasize the need to accommodate such a development, according to Commissioner President Rick Hernandez. Now, he's talking about housing and what it will take to provide for all the people who will be employed. I guess that's the only reason why the story made it to the top, because you're talking about jobs. Story number 8, big headline. Well, folks, our top 8 local headlines developing news stories that I made this week. I brought back the top 8 international headlines developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. The media to be Brown West. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines developing news stories that I made this week. Folks, this month we're talking about the anniversary of this company that I've run for over probably about 18 to 19 years now, probably more than that without a license. And I'm just going over the history because it's the anniversary month. So I'm talking about the memories of the people I've crossed paths with. This next story is about our first film when we merged into the arts in 2011. And I'll never forget it. I put an article in the paper because I did want to do auditions. Anybody who's been in theater or movies, entertainment, they know that traditionally you'll do auditions and people will show up and they'll read from the script. You'll have to get a bunch of headshots, and this is the traditional way to do it. But since this company was created on Judeo-Christian values, because I was raised Christian, I wanted to give everybody a chance. So I put an article in the paper, and it was amazing to see the response. You know, we had got a few people who had showed up, and it wasn't a lot. It was maybe about a handful, and they all wanted to give acting in the movie business a try. So this is my first film, so I had to go out and find some equipment to do the film with. I'll never forget, I got the studio camera, and I'll never forget the first girl who got the main role, and it was amazing because she was a Latino girl. I want to give their full name because like I said they're all going off doing their business now, but her last name was Vasquez, and everybody was amazing. Her name was Shayra Vasquez, and then we had some other participants. We had Jesse, Alicia. They all brought in their kids to be extras, and then we had some people from Austin Town. So all these people came to do this amazing film, and we had some singers because we always used to have the music group for the singers. We had Sharon, and all these guys came together to do this film, and it was amazing. And then we had Leon, and they all came together from different walks, different paths, different parts of the community, and we came together to do this film. I forget it. And we shot it in Mel Creek Park. We shot it at some locations in Youngstown, and everybody was excited. Paper came down, took some pictures, and it was called Miracle, the Land of Escobar Part 1. And the film was about, the purpose of the film was to try to draw awareness to women giving birth and the importance of bringing life into the world. And it had touched a little bit on the abortion topic, but it was a great film. It was a vintage Christian film. Well, it was somewhat that is basically talking about the when you bring kids into the world, they can have gifts. And we worked hard on this film. And I'll never forget how hard it was for me, because this was my first film, and I was just still learning a lot about filmmaking and how to train people. But we did complete the film, and I'll never forget when we had our first movie premiere. I brought the wrong version of the film to the movie, and I'll never forget how amazing it was seeing people get angry and frustrated, and I had some people get angry at me, and Shayra had got upset because of some situation that we had when I had to do the paperwork. Now you got to realize this is my first film, so I was still a rookie at this, but we made it, we got it done. I fixed the film after the premiere, and it was just an amazing process. But if you ever get cussed out by a Latino and a sister, an African American woman, on your first project, oh man, they will set you straight. And Latino, if you don't gotta go, and I got it right. And Sharon and Brian, I'm so upset with you, but I got it right. That's the main project. The film is actually on the website. It was our first film. We got it done, and it was a hard process, but even though I did invest into it, the main point of this story, especially over this anniversary, remembering all those people got involved, is the fact that we got it. I did it. I was able to do it. For all filmmakers, musicians, on your first project, you can go through hell. You can get something wrong. You can spell somebody's name wrong. You can even bring the wrong version of the film to a festival, to a premiere. It happens. But the purpose of this is to say that you did it. People may not even, some people may like it, some people may not. But the point is that you did it, you accomplished something, and you were able to do it, and you were able to learn and grow in your craft, folks. Whew. Never forget those moments. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. What is medical misinformation? NBC News has a report stating that doctors are sounding the alarm on medical misinformation. The headline states that it's getting worse. Now, the report begins by stating in the main idea that 86% of physicians surveyed said they encountered more misinformation among patients within the last 5 years than in years before. Now that's word for word according to the main talking point. Now the story, written by David Ingram and was published, I guess, August 20th. It brings about some very important talking points because the report states that an overwhelming majority of physicians, 86%, said that falsehoods that are being reported when it comes to patients, and I guess it's increased over the past 5 years. Now, the report cites the COVID pandemic as a prime example. Now, what got the story in is because we're in a time in which doctors are there's doctor burnouts and lawsuits are pretty prevalent. Now, thus getting the story to the top. Story number 2. The student visa program. BBC News has a report with the headline stating that the U.S. State Department revoked 6,000 student visas. Now, the report goes on further to say that this was done because of violations of U.S. law and overstays. Now, the report goes on further to explain the majority of the violations, including assaults, driving under the influence, burglary, and support for terrorism. Now, these are all very serious violations in the midst of Trump's move to carry out his immigration plans. Now, more than 1.1 million international students from over 210 countries were enrolled in U.S. colleges in the 2023-2024 school year, now thus sparking the debate of what caused a massive and even more aggressive crackdown. Folks, this story is still going. Story number 3. Senior citizens are sounding the alarm. MoneyWise has a headline that could be right on time because in an era with fast-paced technology, a lot of fundamental senior citizens are being left behind. Now, the headline reads that Florida's seniors are becoming homeless at an increasingly rapid rate. Now, this is an eye-opening story written by Sarah Sharkey because and it was published August 20th. Now, the report is the report in the retirement state, which is Florida, is alarming because I mean this is an accelerate because Florida, if you did not know, Florida has been it's accelerated in the population, the growth in seniors somehow are being left behind. Now, the report has some interesting data. It really puts the reader into a need-to-know situation. Story number 4. The national debt is still a topic of discussion. Fortune has a report published was focusing on the national debt and how it has soared past $37 trillion. Now, the staggering number has caught the attention of economists and business leaders. Now, this report made it in because it puts Trump's plan to repay the national debt with tariffs, cost-cutting, and growth programs in the spotlight. Now, critics in the report see Trump's plan as having a minimal impact. Now, what got the story in is because the report says that the recent $5 trillion debt limit increase 2 years ago was the largest in history. Now, the story succeeds at giving the many viewpoints when it comes to the national debt. It really stands out because it's keeping the story in top headlines, keeping the attention, and letting people know, keeping them informed. This story is this story does end on a positive note, but it really kind of lays out what needs to be done and what's being done. So story number 4 made it to the top 4 this week. Well, folks, are the top 4 international headlines developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with top 4. So don't you go anywhere. The Mediator to be Brian West. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines developing news stories that made this week. Folks, we're talking about the anniversary of Method 8 doing this business has been in operation for over 18 to 19 years, and probably more than that without a license. And I'm recapping some of the memories, some of the people I've crossed paths with, like the guys named Tom. I remember Thomas. I remember Vincent and a few other, Tanisha and so many other people, Keisha and her group of dancers. And we've had so many people come along the way, so many different actors, and Jennifer, I remember her, and Cornelius and his brothers and the cousins. And we've had so many people come across here when you cross paths when you've been doing something for 18 or more years, and you remember some faces, you know. You remember some of the kids you grow up with, like Cassandra, Victor and his daughter, Cassandra, and you see these people, you watch them grow, and you become friends. They become a family. And I remember the second engineer we had here, Vaughn, and me and Vaughn would have some amazing conversations, and I would go all the way to Warren. And one thing you notice about people were really into engineering or studio work is sometimes they would sleep in their studio. So I never forget, I go pick up Vaughn and we come all the way back to Youngstown and we talk about conspiracy theories and the Illuminati, and we have all these amazing stories. And he come in the studio and we exchange computers, and he teach me about music, I teach him about something, and this is what happens when you have a business. You become a family with a group of people. I remember Andrea, she would get upset with me, and she probably still is upset with me. I haven't heard from her in years, and she would always talk about God and Christianity and people like T.D. Jakes. I mean, this was what she was into. I never forget, we'd have some nights where we'd have debates and discussions, and she did her first African American history play at Method 8, and to this day she still doesn't talk to me because I'm pretty sure you understand how females can be sometimes. You love them, and then love turns to hate somehow. And I just remember all the people, Miss Kennedy and Solomon, and it's been a long journey, folks. And I'm not gonna lie, when you first start doing something, you do have to learn a lot. I remember Wayne, we did our first TV show together, and it's just just all these people cross paths. There's probably so many more. And I remember Debbie and her daughter, and so it's been a long journey. Debbie and her daughter, yeah. I remember her daughter, Bridget, and so there's so many, Brianna, Liz, there's so many people, so I just want to make sure I get them all. If I did not mention all of your names, but please, but it's been a long journey, 18 to 19 years here at Method 8, probably more than that without a license. So let's get to these top 4 stories, folks. Let's get to story number 5. The immigration story is caught in a web of confusion. I hope I didn't forget Jennifer, because she was an amazing actor and all the rest of them. Let's get to it. And Miss Joyce, Carla, can't forget Carla. Oh boy. Let's get to this top story. Story number 5. The immigration story is caught in a web of confusion. The Guardian has a report stating that Democrats say that Trump is illegally blocking them from visiting ICE detention facilities. Now, this story seems to echo talk in many circles, even outside of the political arena, when it comes to checks and balances. Now, this story has the immigration story caught in a web not only of confusion, but legal confusion. Now, the story states that immigrant detainees were held in overcrowded, moldy cells, and many reported that they did not have reliable access to food, water, or medical care. Now, what is confusing about this story is because when looked at from different angles, it brings people to a crossroads when it comes to law and humanitarian responsibilities. Now, there seems to be no good guys in this story, only political prospects. This story is still developing. Story number 6. The job market is a topic of concern. Axios has a report published August 16th by Courtney Brown stating that the job market gloom hasn't been this bad since the Great Recession. Now, the report really homes in on the ripple effect of tariffs when it comes to the job market. Now, the story states that about 62% of consumers believe that unemployment will worsen in the year ahead. Now, the story centers its talking point around the talking point of what if statement, but takes a U-turn when stating that at the moment the unemployment rate is holding at a historically low rate at 4.2%, as this was as of July, with hiring and layoffs stalled. Story number 7, and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week for you. To keep you informed, folks, if you do not get up this early, you can check out the show on the website. I do upload to our YouTube page on Mondays. Let's get to this top story. Story number 7, the Putin puzzle. Vladimir Putin puzzle. In the war game, folks, there are sacrifices. You have to be patient in the war game, and you have to make critical decisions. NBC News has a report in which Trump has been caught in the middle. It looks like he's caught in the middle between two separate entities that have nothing to do with the United States outside of deal making, and plus the fact that you may have some Russian and Ukrainian citizens that are concerned about their native land. Now, this is a difficult situation because even though Putin is a war criminal, he sees the cards in his favor, because in this war, the only way to end it is through him, because he started it. Now, Trump can only win this difficult war puzzle by putting all of the right pieces in place at the right time without giving Putin any more ammunition. Now, outsiders are assuring Trump that Putin cannot be trusted, so the only way things can be done right is to weaken his war plans with sanctions, or countering his vision of an old Soviet Union revival with a vision that maybe could benefit both maybe Russia and Ukraine. Maybe if you could replace that vision of a Soviet united with something better that could put Ukraine in a deal, you could possibly get a deal. But this will be difficult without knowing what Putin's actual motive is for attacking Ukraine. That means maybe we really don't know. This is only speculation. Now, at the moment, we can only basically assume that he wants the world out of Russia's business, just like probably Trump wants the world out of the United States. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that I made this week for you to keep you informed. Folks, if you do want to show some support, it does not take much. I do stop at the store at 5648 Mark Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face, or you can stop on the website, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, order a sponsor program. Story number 8, the economic mystery project. Story number 8. BBC News has a report stating that the U.S. economy is a puzzle, but the pieces aren't fitting together. Now, the report begins by giving the viewpoint that we have a president who has the controls, but may not actually know the cause and effect when he's pulling certain economic strings. And the report goes on to explain a bunch of scenarios taking place in present time. Now, this story brings to light what economists have always been saying, and that is the concept that the economy is like a thrill ride, which sometimes goes up and sometimes goes down depending on behavioral trends and the hype surrounding the ride. Now, the main point of the report is that even though things seem uncertain, economists are betting on what they always see in trends, and that is that the economy will eventually fix itself in due time because of human behavior, especially in America. Thus, getting the story into the top 8. That's why story number 8 made it to the top this week. Well, folks, our top 8 local and international headlines developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, journalists, people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle, navigating your stories just to keep people informed. Folks, if you do want to show some support, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, order a sponsor program, or you can stop by the store at 5648 Mark Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face. Well, folks, I am out of here, continuing to celebrate over 18 to 19 years of a company run off of its mission statement and providing media and other outlets for the community. Well, folks, I'm out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.